business administration major.
Hi, my name is Lakeisha Eaton. I am an entrepreneur.
And today I will be interviewing Miss Lakeisha Eaton on the program Microsoft Excel. How are you doing today, Miss Lakeisha?
I'm good, Antonio. How are you?
I'm good. Today I will be asking you a few questions about the Microsoft Excel program.
Okay.
Today I would like to start off by asking you this question. How did you find out about the program Microsoft Excel?
They started teaching us about the whole Microsoft program, I want to say in middle school, in the public school system. So we learned about Word, Excel, spreadsheet, and I think it was another. So it was something throughout public schooling that we were taught about Excel.
Okay, thank you. So you introduced yourself, you said that you're an entrepreneur.
Correct, I'm an entrepreneur.
That's good. Okay, so
Business
owner. With that, how do you use Microsoft Excel with your job description?
In my career, I use Excel in a lot of different ways. I use Excel to create my budget for different projects that I do. I also use Excel to create my expense report that I use to file my taxes with. I'll use Excel to organize like my employees' information. I use Excel for a lot of different things. It's, what's the word I'm trying to say? Multifaceted, so it has a lot of features to it.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Another one. So with all the different things you can do with the Microsoft Excel program, as you have already mentioned, which would you like the most or dislike about the program? What do you like the most about the program? What would you not like about the program?
Okay, well, I'm the type of person, I always like to end with the positive. So what I don't like about the program is that if you input the wrong formula, so like, with Excel, you can input a formula and it'll output a number. Whatever the formula is, it'll code it and it'll give you the results. So if you don't put in the right formula, it will throw off your whole spreadsheet. If you don't input the data correctly, it could just mess up your whole spreadsheet. And if you're not familiar with the functions of Excel and knowing how to, just operate it, it can be very confusing because it has so many different functions to it and so many different ways you can use it. So that's the part about it. I wish it was a little bit more like simpler for our users, especially for those, for me, because I was trained throughout school, it's like easier. But for those who don't know Excel at all and they're first timers, it's going to come off difficult because it's some similar to like coding, so that's something that I don't like. I wish it was more user friendly. I'll say that for especially
understandable.
Right. One thing that I do like about it is that, again, it's multifaceted, so you can use it for a lot of things. And I think that's the best feature. I like that it helps me stay organized. I like that if I do know the formula, I can put it in and apply it to my spreadsheet, and it'll apply it to each column, so I don't have to keep going back in on each cell and putting it in.
Time consuming.
Right, so it saves time on things like that. So yeah, that's why I like it.
That's good. So another question I have for you, with the many different functions that are available in Microsoft app, if you could give me at least one function that you may like the most or you may use the most when you're doing your job, which one would that be?
Probably the Control-C, the copy and paste formula. I use that a lot just because with me having like with my expense report, a lot of my information is duplicated. So it cuts, like you said, it cuts down on time. I could just go ahead and put it in and just do Command-C and it'll just pop in without me having to type everything in. So I think that is the best feature for me, is it tracking my information and me being able to just apply it to whatever cell I want to apply it to.
That's good. So,
and then you also asked me, was that a two-part question?
One last question I would like to ask you before we leave. Would you recommend this Microsoft program to any of your colleagues or people in your business area?
Oh yeah, I think every entrepreneur should be familiar with Excel and how to operate it. Because it's essential to all business owners. You need to know what Excel is. I think the whole Microsoft program, but especially Excel. If you're in finance, Excel is probably going to be your best friend. You know, so I think it does depend on your career, but if you're in that business side of, you know, your career, if you're choosing to go into business, be an entrepreneur, finance, accounting, anything that's dealing with money, you need to know how to use Excel. Yeah.
Well, that'll be all I have for you today. Like I said, my name is Antonio Eaton. This is Miss Lakeisha Eaton.